Hello everyone, welcome to the Kevin Lee Show. Thank you for coming on. This is an 8-part series that I will be releasing every week on Monday at 5 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. The preface for this interview is based around a primary question that I learned from Tony Robbins attending his business mastery event in Amsterdam. And it is based around, if your core business was completely disrupted tomorrow, what would you do? How would you pivot or innovate? And during this time of the recording, we're going through the COVID pandemic. And so I thought it was very fitting interviewing people from around the world in different industries to see how they've pivoted and innovated in their struggling industries. And so the idea is to inspire and encourage people who need it. And so I hope everyone can learn a few lessons from these experts. I hope you enjoy the show. Thank you. Today we have Emma Nicolazzo, and her stage name is Nico. She holds a BA in Music from the Australian Institute of Music, Sydney, and a Cert IV Performing Arts from Brent Street Studios. Nico is a seasoned cabaret veteran who has worked internationally and nationally over the past 7 years. Recently, Nico has worked tirelessly to compose and perform 2 solo shows in comedy cabaret, I'm Not Creative, I've Got Bipolar, and Boys, Boys, Boys. During the Melbourne International Comedy Festival, Melbourne Cabaret Festival, his sold-out season at Melbourne Fringe Festival, and most recently was a finalist at the Short and Sweet Cabaret Festival in Sydney. Vice magazine says Nico is a wry, gutsy, and says everything you probably shouldn't. Emma has recently taken on her biggest role yet, the role of a new mum. She is currently working on a new show in Sydney whilst gigging, running her children's and corporate entertainment company, Let's Get Loud Entertainment Co., and teaching weekly classes in music theatre, drama, piano, and singing. Nico likes to keep her classes fresh and exciting whilst keeping the still main focus on skill and technique. She loves all things glitter, lace, red, pink, 80s, vintage, French, and long walks on the beach. 4starsthemusic.com says she's an astute performer that brings a charming Aussie twang to her songs, like a mix of Missy Higgins and Amy Winehouse. Everyone, please help me welcome Nico.
I'm going to climb up.
Hey Nico, welcome.
Hey!
Thank you for coming on to the show today. I see that you've got your son there too. What's his name?
Yep. My assistant, that's Marley.
Marley, your assistant Marley. Hi Marley.
My co-worker.
I just wanted to ask you a little bit more about what you do to give an audience a bit of understanding of your business prior, then during the COVID-19 season, and what your operation is looking like now.
Thanks. So basically, I'm an entertainer. Foremost, I'm a singer, an actor, cabaret artist, and I also run a small entertainment company which focuses on children's entertainment, corporate entertainment, and also I run music classes and holiday workshops. So yeah, most of my work was prior face-to-face, and that's what I love doing. Obviously, I'm a performer, I'm a people person, and so it's face-to-face, one-on-one. Yeah. So since isolation during the new isolation situation, obviously we're not able to do any of those, have any of those interactions like a lot of other businesses. Me as a performer, as a solo performer, as a cabaret artist, there's no more live venues, there's no festivals happening for any of the foreseeable future. So there won't be any live entertainment for a while.
Yeah.
And as far as teaching kids music, kids parties on the weekend, and everything else that we offer is not available face to face. So as soon as that sort of happened, I didn't. Please. I'm sort of a problem solver. Not that it's, it's not like my business is making millions or anything like that, but I do rely on my business to work for my mental state and to survive. So there's no way, after you've worked so long on a business, you don't really want to just shut it down.
Yep. And
for me, there's no point. I wasn't going to grieve anything. And it was just an instant reaction was just to move everything online. People are already doing prior to this, people do a lot of stuff online. Teaching, coaching, all that kind of stuff. So that was my first change, was just to move all of the students I currently had via Zoom online. And that was pretty successful, as in everybody agreed to it.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard. It's very different than teaching face to face. So, you really can't compare it. You have to treat it as as a new way of teaching. And there's a lot of delay and all that kind of stuff. And you're working with a 6-year-old on Zoom. So it's very different. As far as children's entertainment and parties, I mean, I have bookings up until June already for events. And those thankfully have been, I mean, I've offered to postpone any sort of ones that were for May, June, anything like that. Happy to postpone it if you're still wanting to have a party. Otherwise, I'm decided to offer online party packages. So greetings from your favorite Disney princess or anything like that, we can do. Or when I say we, it's just me now. I did have other entertainers working with me, but everything is just me now. And the focus has moved from, I mean, the focus is always business and entertaining, but there is no major focus on making a profit or anything like that. It's purely just to keep the business running and to keep it relevant and to keep entertaining, because people still need that. Yeah. So you could get a 10-minute phone call with Elsa and a happy birthday song, or you could or the next package up, that's the princess package. You get a hello, a greeting live on Zoom from your favorite character. You get a song sung very well, like the song from the movie, and then we can do a dance together, which I would choreograph a dance to one of their favorite songs. And the same goes for a happy birthday song. And then the next package up is like a 30 minutes, basically the same, except it turns into a bit of a dance party. Yeah. And then the client, the child's parent, you can invite as many people as you want. You know, it's a Zoom call. So we've got grandparents, family chiming in from interstate, overseas, everyone dressing up. Mums dressed up like Poppy from Trolls. Everyone just trying to make it a really good experience for the kids and also enjoy it themselves. Everyone is locked up at home, so everyone's joining in the dances and the songs and the activities. And that's what we're offering. So,
wow, that's so great, especially in this time. Everyone's like a bit sad, stuck. The kids are trapped, and they're looking for a way of entertainment. It's so nice of you able to offer that to everyone, wherever, when they have these events, that you can jump on and give them joy and happiness.
Yeah.
Moving towards your other models that you have developed, could you share with us a bit more about Whinge and Wine and Let's Get Loud and how they came about?
Yeah. So Let's Get Loud, that's the entertainment side of my company, which is, I mean, I can push myself through that as an entertainer. My other side, with my cabaret and my shows and stuff like that. I've created a couple of shows over the past 4 years, and the newest show that I have been working on is called Whinge and Wine. So I decided after this happened, after entering my show into all the festivals for the rest of the year, knowing that might not happen, I still wanted to workshop a bit of the material. I wanted to get the brand of Whinge and Wine out there, and I also wanted to be part of that movement. Everyone in the arts is trying to offer something to everybody else out there who feel like they're missing something. So I decided to reach out to some corporate companies and see how they were working remotely as a team, and if they were conducting anything such as like a Friday work drinks online via Zoom, which most of them I found out are. And so I've decided to offer just a small 20-minute little buzz, which is like entertainment for your Friday work drinks. So it's a whinge and a wine. So we all get to have a little bit of a whinge about the things that we are missing or having to do, all the changes that we're having to make, and then have a bit of a laugh and a drink about it and get entertained at the same time. And it's been really good. And I'm just kind of trying to make cabaret relevant, to people that might not usually go out to a show. I have done a whinge and wine session with Dell, and I've done a whinge and wine session with Hewlett Packard. And two very different crowds. One was predominantly women and a smaller crowd. And then the other one was very, very large teams. So around 50, 55, and mostly males. So but it's been really good being able to inject just a bit of fun into the end of the working week. Because everyone's you're still working. You still have to work. Yeah.
I find that a really interesting model because I have a lot of friends that work in corporate, and everyone used to look forward so much to Friday night drinks, right? And now it's like, well, what do you do? Because you can't like, you're not allowed out to all pubs are closed here in Australia, and
Yeah.
you can't go to clubs. And what do you like? It's one thing to dial your mates in that night and go, oh hey, let's have a wine or let's have a drink together, but
Absolutely.
it's very it's not very exciting.
No, it's not. I feel like even though you may be working from home, and I mean, like my job's quite different. So I'm singing, I'm writing, I'm making costumes and stuff like that. So I'm always working from home, teaching from home. But I feel like if you're sitting at a computer all day and you're trying to still have those same interactions that you do at work, working with your team, and you're having Zoom meetings and phone calls, and you're stuck in a space that people like leaving their house to go to work. You know what I mean? They're stuck at home, and then it's a Friday. I mean, you could just sign off and turn around and just walk into the kitchen, but it's not the same. You still want to have that interaction with people that you work with. You want to have a release and just something different and something fun. And it has been like that. They won't even tell the staff that I'm there. I'm just waiting in the meeting, like with my screen off, and then they'll just be in the middle of a small little meeting, and then I'll just turn my screen on and just the music will start, and it'll be like drinks up, wine for me, wine for them, and then we're all having a good time. Everyone's up dancing and singing, and they've got the chat going with each other, and it's good. Yeah.
I'm still very fascinated about the Whinge and Wine format, because I've never seen anyone do that. Could you paint a better picture of what they would be expecting if they sign up for Whinge and Wine?
Yeah. So if you were to liaise with me and book a Whinge and Wine session, you would just hop onto my website. You would book in your session for Friday afternoon. There are half-an-hour slots available. It's a 20-minute segment. I would then ask, once it's booked in, I'd ask for 2 or 3 main people in your team, or anyone that you want to point out or make fun of. That's and you'd give me their names, just their full name, and that would be it. And then what I do is I do a bit of a LinkedIn stalk, basically, because I want it to be a surprise for everyone. So, I jump on LinkedIn, because a lot of the corporate companies, everyone's on LinkedIn. And I just check out their occupations, their job. I look at a few posts that they do, try and gauge the kind of person they are. And then my opening song, generally, I like to make it Come to the Cabaret, because I think it's corny, it's camp, it's fun. And basically I'll just change all the lyrics, because my main style of cabaret is parody. So I'll change the lyrics. And for the opening song, I would just start reeling off information about the names of the people that work for the company. And it's really good, because they don't know what to expect. Then this big band music starts playing, and maybe a man in their 40s or 50s is not really going to like it. And then all of a sudden you start singing about them, and the reaction is generally, what?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's really good. And then what I'll do is then obviously I'll also ask a general era of music that they would want to listen to. There's only probably about 4 songs in the 20-minute session, and you could say 80s, 90s, something like that. So I'd pick just a bunch, a Queen song or Alanis Morissette, anything like that. You can give me a song choice, or I'll just give me an era and I'll pick it out. And then a few topics, so stuff that's relevant to the team. I mean, I'm happy creating my own topics, but it's good. It's just good, because if they're looking for that release, and say 20 women working and they're all homeschooling their kids at the same time, then they might want to hear about homeschooling. So I would draw from my experiences working at home with my son, and they're doing Zoom calls. I mean, I'm doing Zoom calls. I'm doing a Zoom cabaret and I've got my child smashing on the door. So it's all the same. Everyone knows what's going on. So just making it relevant, making it funny. And then during the musical breaks, we'll get up. Everyone's got to pick up their drink, their wine. Some of them are just chopping it up on the balcony, holding their computers up, showing me where they are. And because I can see all their names on the screen, I'm just calling out people's names. We're making it interactive. We get up, we do a dance, we do lunges, we take sips, and then, it's all boom, bang. It's just done in 20 minutes.
Wow.
But it's fun for me too. It's it's a release for me, because I'm stuck at home as well. And so that's generally the format. It's just 20 minutes. Secretly hop into the Zoom meeting, 20 minutes, 4 songs. We do a big party dance number at the end, which is another really camp song. And and then that's it. I'll just sign off.
Wow.
And then they're just left there. But the feedback's been really good. They've all said that they feel like they're just dancing in the club, but without being at the club. So it's fun. Yeah.
Well, you got to make the most of what you have, and it's amazing what you put together for them. I can see that they would really enjoy that, especially as atmosphere. I remember you were saying before in our previous conversation about like them as a colleague group just getting together on a Zoom phone call doesn't just cut it. It's too much.
Yeah, I know. I know. I mean, if it's a team of 20 having a Zoom meeting as a work drinks, and then not being able to just break off into your own conversation with the person that you're sitting next to.
Exactly.
Like if you went out to drinks after work with the whole team, but you don't really get along well with everyone, at least you're not just stuck in a circle staring at each other's faces, which is kind of what some of the feedback I've gathered from others that are working in that office environment remotely.
True.
Yeah.
With your business models ranging, used to be all face-to-face, one-on-one, all live at events and shows and everything. Now, obviously, due to what's happened, you've had to move everything online, and not only just move what you could do online, but reiterate and innovate, your models like Winch and Wine. What are your biggest learns so far at the moment, or how would you do things differently?
How do I do things differently? I think, my biggest learn at the moment is just to move the focus away from possibly what your business was before. Mm-hmm. So, I worked, Let's Get Loud's only been around for 2 years, but it started from nothing, and I've built it up to was getting to a really good point where it was paying for itself and making money as well, and being able to grow, which is now what I think I've learned is that this is not the time to try and grow your business. Mm-hmm. This is the time to just make yourself relevant if you want to, without just shutting down, without surrendering. You're still surrendering. You're surrendering to the fact that this is the way that it is, and this is the way we need to go. As far as children's entertainment is concerned, the market is very saturated at the moment. Mm-hmm. All the children's entertainers are still trying to make money, I guess, and still keep their businesses rolling so that people still know they're around. So I'm not so much as focused as competing with those others. I know my offering is different, but I do sometimes worry what it's going to be like after. And if it, without saying this, if it cheapens my brand, like I'm offering a pretty good deal, like a pretty good service for the 30-minute kids party that's online, like choreographed, dress up, like singing properly. Like I'm a trained professional singer, so that's a skill that people pay for when I do the parties in person. There are different packages, so if you want me to sing, like you have to pay for me to sing. So but I'm offering that because I still want people to like feel good at this time. But I feel like if people think that they can get that online, then they're not going to want to pay the prices in person, even though there's a lot of different things that we do in person. you know, so I feel like Winch and Wine seemed like it was this left kind of idea, but it seems like it might be the best idea.
I see where you come from.
And I feel like as far as like pubs, clubs, live music venues, hospitality, all that kind of stuff, that's probably going to be one of the last sort of things we're going to get back to. You know what I mean? And I mean, a lot of the offices that I have been in touch with, before the hectic restrictions, they had already been working remotely, and their companies said they would be working remotely until at least August. So I think as far as like the online virtual drinks kind of thing, I think that's still going to be going. I am doing a full show next week that will be live streamed, that you can buy tickets to as if you were going to a live venue. However, whatever's going to happen after this, it's anyone's guess. Are people just going to be so used to getting things online that they're not going to go back out there?
How do you think it will all change when we go back, especially in your industry in particular? Kind of just furthering on along our conversation prior.
I do think that people are going to be dying for that interaction once it is all over. The feedback from my students and their parents, they've signed up again for, the term 2 starts next week in Sydney. And they have signed up again, and they're all hoping that, you know, halfway through the term they can come back to face. You know, we are humans. We do need humans.
Face-to-face interaction. Yeah.
Face-to-face interaction. I think that, I mean, with the economic situation, who knows if people will be able to afford party or anything like that. But there are people out there who haven't been affected that way. I still think, I mean, when you're talking about parents, like I'm a parent, and even if I can't afford something, I want to do it for my kid.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I still feel, and parents at the moment are still trying to do whatever they can to keep their children's lives, you know, keep some normality, some routine. So they're doing online classes and stuff like that. And then hoping that, you know, once it's all over, they'll be able to have parties and stuff again. I'm hoping that it goes back. I'm hoping there's a little boom after that. But it's anyone's guess.
Yeah. It's a time of uncertainty in so many industries. We just don't know what's going to happen. As we spoke about before, hospitality and pubs and all that, clubs, and we're probably the last to open, as then the last on the essential needs kind of list. So it'll be interesting to see what everything returns to after all this goes through.
Yeah, I feel like everyone's going to be dying to get out. And I hope it doesn't like start a new wave, but
yeah. I just wanted to ask as well, you shared with us what's happened before, you shared with us what your current business model is now, what your thoughts are in the future. What would you be putting your focus on next with your projects?
That's a tough one. So I don't want anyone to think I'm going to be dropping the ball on one side. I think, personally this year I was going to be focusing on Whinge and Wine and the cabaret, as well as expanding my business into, you know, a full entertainment company that will provide corporate contemporary musicians and children's entertainment. You know, any of your entertainment needs, we can do it. As far as my focus, I think I'll just keep the business running as it is, keep the offering as it is, and focus a little bit more on the cabaret side, and Let's Get Loud happen a bit more organically rather than putting a massive focus on, like, it's still my business. It still keeps me going. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's still going to be there. I would never drop it. Otherwise, I would have just done it now. But I'm going to be working to just keep it afloat. But yeah, I think I'll definitely be putting a lot more focus on cabaret, Whinge and Wine, and sort of experiences and how I can make cabaret relevant to a broader community. Yeah.
Nico, you're obviously very intelligent, you're very creative, and you've got such a lovely energy about you. What is your motivation that is driving you? What gets you to wake up? Because you could so easily give up, like so many have, especially in the entertainment industry. So many people have just shut doors straight away. They said, well, we can't do anything and we've got to put it on hiatus until whenever this falls over. But you haven't. You've kept it all going. Even you said some of the projects, you know, that it's not that they're in huge profits, but you still keep them running because you still want to be relevant and make an impact. Yeah.
Well, first of all, I don't like to fail. And I've always worked really, really hard, and I'm not, and also the thing is that, you know, my family sacrifices for, you know, everything that I'm working for, because I did have an office job before I decided to drop and do this. I mean, I've always studied music, I've always done this stuff on the side, but I've always had a job to keep me going. If you're a creative, you're used to it. You are used to the hustle. Like, that is your life. Like, for me, I'm like, oh, it's just another hustle. Except that this time it wasn't my fault. This time, like, I just spent 2 years building this business and getting it to a point where I was like, woo, that was worth it. And it just got brought to a halt. And there is no way I'm just going to let it flop. And I just can't do anything. I can't sit and not do anything. I'm creative. I'm a really hard worker. And, you know, that's how I was brought up. My husband really hard as well, and his business is struggling too, and he's still allowing me to do this. You know, I could be working at Woolworths. I live next door to IGA. Like, you know, he could just tell me to get up and go and get a job there. But he knows I've worked really hard, and this is my career, and I I want my son to grow up knowing that, like, we've both fought for our careers. We've both fought for what we wanted, and, you know, not to give up. And yeah, it's just that creative side. Like, if you're creative and you've chosen this path, yeah. And so it's always going to be hard. It's always going to be a struggle. It's always going to be a hustle, but the reward is so much. It's so different to anything else. Yeah. So we're just always chasing that high, chasing that success. Yeah. So.
That's great that you have family support, and, you know, that you guys are able to chase your dreams and want to be the inspiration for your children as well, which is a very powerful thing.
Yeah.
You know, as we're coming to a close for this interview, are there any last words or thoughts that you want to share with the audience that could possibly inspire or encourage them to action?
Oh gosh, I'm inspiring. No, just that, you know, I shouldn't say the word hate, but I dislike that line of "we're all in this together."
Mm-hmm.
I just think maybe it's just been overused, but I know that everyone is dealing with something different. Everyone's been affected. So yeah, we are in it together. However, everyone is feeling it really differently. If you do have your own business, like, don't give up. You worked so hard to get it to where it is. Hopefully people are getting relief from the government. I'm not. But, you know, if you can manage to break even, you know, your business going, like, figure out a way to make it relevant, because you are relevant, and people will need you after this is done. So don't stress. Don't give yourself this massive, like, task of trying to figure out how to make it work. But if it comes to you, then, you know, I feel like there's no point. I mean, everyone is allowed to grieve the loss of, like, something like that, you know, when you've worked so hard, but I think that point's done now. Like, get up, just do something. Yeah, I think it'll make everyone feel better. Like, don't you reckon? When you sit there.
Agreed. You can't just sit there. Yeah. Just lastly, where could people find more or learn more about you, Nico? Where can they go?
To go onto my socials, you can go to my website, which is www.nico with a C, like the whole word written. Yeah. Okay. Nico with a C, like larger than with a C.com. You can link yourself onto Let's Get Loud there, so you can book into any classes. You can book a Whinge and Wine session for your office, or you can buy a ticket to my show next week. All my links are there, Instagram and YouTube and Facebook, whatever.
Great, thank you, Nico. I'll link everything in the show notes for everyone. Again, appreciate your time. I know that you're a busy woman, and I really appreciate it. I've had so much fun during this conversation. I've learned so much as well, and I hope the audience will enjoy it too.
Thanks
you,
so
Nico.
much. Kevin.
Take care, my friend. Bye. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the show. All the links to the show notes will be available at kevinleesocial.com, spelled KEVINLY. Conversely, if you have any interviews that you'd love to recommend, please send it over to kevinleesocial@gmail.com. I'd love to connect. Thank you. Until the next episode.